If the only thing touching the road is your tire, why are we still guessing which one's best? Stick around, because one of these 5 will flat out change how your sport bike feels today. In this video, I'm counting down the top 5 sport bike tires from number 5 to number 1, and I'll share exactly what stood out in real-world riding. Heat up times, edge grip, feedback at big lean, how they behave under hard braking, and yeah, the quirks and compromises too. Keep watching. Number 5. Continental ContiSportAttack IV. I'll be honest, my first session on the ContiSportAttack IV had me raising an eyebrow. The initial impression is smooth and reassuring, with a rounded profile that eases the bike onto its side without any drama. On a tight set of sweepers, you know, the kind where you're rolling in and out on a steady throttle, the Conti felt planted and calm. The best part? It wakes up quickly. Even on a cool morning, the tire built confidence within a couple of miles, which is a big deal if you commute to your favorite canyon instead of trailering to it. Where the Conti really shines is mid-corner feedback. It has that talkative but polite feel. You can sense the carcass flex just enough to warn you before you overstep. Trail braking is predictable, and the front communicates load shifts clearly without that abrupt, full-road wooden transition you sometimes get with ultra-stiff Hypersport fronts. On imperfect pavement, it keeps the chassis settled, and I found myself holding lean angle a beat longer than usual just because it felt composed. Now, here's where things get a bit more complicated. At high ambient temps and repeated hard drives out of corners, the rear can get a touch smeary if you're heavy-handed with the throttle. It's not a snap, it's progressive, but it does remind you that this is a street-focused Hypersport tire, not a DOT race tire. On the brakes from triple-digit speeds, the front is solid, but it doesn't deliver that razor-edged bite you get from the most aggressive options later in this list. Number 4. METZELER SPORTEC M9RR. The METZELER M9RR is one of those tires I kept coming back to because it has a kind of honest grip. Turn-in is crisp without being twitchy, and it gives you the confidence to brake a hair later and still hit your apex. The structure feels taut in a good way, supportive under hard braking, with a front that resists squirm when you trail a little deeper than planned. And when the road tightens up, that neutral profile lets you flick side to side without fighting the bike. In the mid-corner, the M9RR's communication is excellent. You feel the contact patch widen as you load it, and the rear delivers a meaty drive when you pick the bike up just a touch. I found it especially satisfying on those second-gear roll-ons where traction control barely flickers, strong, predictable forward motion with no weird spikes. Heat up is commendably quick, and the tire stays consistent across a wide temperature window. On mixed surfaces, smooth asphalt to coarse chip seal, the METZELER stays unflustered, keeping the chassis calm and letting you focus on lines. In the rain, the M9RR is a reassuring partner. Water evacuation is effective, and it doesn't collapse into vague, slippery nothingness when the heavens open. Keep your inputs smooth, and it rewards you with grown-up levels of grip. You know, it's one of those tires that makes you think, I probably didn't need to turn around just because the weather turned. Now here's the but. While the M9RR is versatile and dependable, high-intensity, repeated corner exits, especially on heavier or torquier bikes, can coax a bit of movement from the rear. 3. Dunlop SPORTMAX Q5S. Well, the Q5S is where things get spicy. If the M9RR is balanced and mature, the Dunlop Q5S is the friend who dares you to brake later. The profile is aggressive in a way that rewards decisive inputs. Tip it in, and the front locks onto your line with a laser-like certainty. The carcass support under braking is excellent. You can trail deep, let off the lever, and the front just bites, holds, and translates every tiny steering cue into movement you can trust. On corner exits, the Q5S rear hooks up with impressive authority. Even when the surface is hot and the pace is, let's say, optimistic, drive grip stays robust. I found myself carrying a touch more throttle earlier, and the tire just takes it. The feedback at the limit is communicative but firm. When it moves, it does so predictably, and the recovery is quick as long as your throttle hand isn't ham-fisted. Heat up is quick for a performance tire, which makes it viable for spirited street rides without an agonizing warm-up period. What surprised me most was the stability at serious lean. That sensation of the contact patch digging in and supporting the chassis through long sweepers is addictive. The Q5S loves a smooth rider. It rewards clean transitions and steady inputs, and it feels right at home for half-day track sessions where you want Hypersport grip without going full track-only rubber. Braking stability is another highlight. The bike stays composed when you're deep on the lever. 2. Bridgestone Battlax Hypersport S22. The S22 is the tire that made me grin inside my helmet. You know that feeling when the bike feels like it lost 20 pounds? That's the S22 effect. The profile is lively, tip-in is quick, and yet it doesn't devolve into nervousness. Bridgestone nailed that blend of agility and composure. In linked corners, the S22 dances from side to side like it knows what you're doing before you do, and it gives you that magical, I can place the bike on a paint stripe precision. Mid-corner stability is superb, especially impressive given how eager the tire is to change direction. The front tells you exactly where the limit is, and the rear puts down power cleanly with a wide, forgiving traction window. What I love is how it behaves during imperfect inputs. A slightly early roll-on, a mid-corner bump, a touch more brake than intended. The S22 absorbs those human moments and turns them into smooth progress rather than drama. In cool temps, it warms fast. In heat, it holds form. And in the wet, it's one of the best in the Hypersport street segment. Standing water at highway speeds didn't send panic through the bars. The tread channels work efficiently, and the compound still offers believable grip for measured riding. That means if the weather shifts during a long day out, you don't immediately start bargaining with fate. Under hard braking, the front remains stout and linear. Trail braking into downhill hairpins stays stable, and you can feel the carcass supporting that front contact patch like a trustworthy anchor. Number 1. Pirelli DiabloRosso IV. And here we are, the Pirelli DiabloRosso IV. I mean, the first ride on these felt like finding the missing piece to a bike I already loved. The profile is classic Pirelli, direct, eager, and utterly precise at lean. Turn-in is immediate without being abrupt, and once you're on the side, the tire gives that signature locked-to-the-tarmac sensation that makes you want to carry lean an extra heartbeat, just because you can. The front, especially, feels surgically sharp but never skittish. The magic trick with the Rosso IV is edge grip confidence and the way it communicates microslips. You'll feel the slightest shimmy in a way that says, "I've got you, just be smooth," and then it resets like nothing happened. On corner exits, it digs in and drives with that elastic Pirelli traction. You can stand the bike up and pour it on, and it rewards you with relentless forward thrust. If your bike has rider aids, they'll work less. If it doesn't, the tire gives you all the information you need to be your own traction control. Heat up is quick in real-world conditions, and once warm, the consistency lap after lap, corner after corner, is what stood out most. The carcass support on the brakes is excellent, and trail braking feels natural, with no step change between upright braking and loaded lean. The tire also plays nicely with electronic aids. The feedback is so clean that TC and ABS interventions feel subtle, rarely intrusive. In the wet, the Rosso IV is confident for a tire this sticky. Is it a rain tire? No, but it's far from a fair-weather diva. With smooth hands and a little patience on corner entry, it holds lines in steady rain better than you'd expect from something that hooks this hard in the dry. Final thought. So, here's the quick vibe check. Continental ContiSportAttack 4. Easy confidence, great warm-up, friendly limits, best for riders who value stability and predictability over absolute aggression. METZELER SPORTEC M9RR. Balanced, trustworthy, weather-capable, with strong braking feel, ideal for mixed conditions and riders who want set it and forget it. Confidence. Dunlop SPORTMAX Q5S. Sharp, supportive, and built for pace. Perfect for street riders with track habits. Bridgestone Battlax Hypersport S22. Agile, yet composed, stellar wet behavior, an everyday hypersport performer that still thrills on the weekend. Pirelli DiabloRosso IV. Precise, communicative, and addictively grippy, the tire that makes your bike feel special every single ride. If this helped narrow down your next set, hit like, drop your go-to tire in the comments, and tell me what you're riding. Super curious how these match up on different bikes. And if you want a deep dive comparing S22 versus Rosso 4 versus Q5S on the same bike, subscribe, because that head-to-head is coming up next. Ride safe, ride smart, and may your next set feel like magic.